keep attempting to come up with analogies or just tell stories about the kind of shit that happens in my life. Try to get somebody to understand. It's kind of constant, but it's like a variety of things. It's a lot of different types of things. Like, for instance, one day I might go out and everywhere I go, I'm followed around by red cars, and a certain type of red car, and I see them everywhere I go, and they're following. Another day maybe it'll be black cars, another day white. That's just one instance, right? One general idea, uh, or color coded. Uh, Everywhere I go one day, somebody's wearing a red. There's always people everywhere wearing red hats or something. You know, that's like a simple layer of thing. Like, that's one thing that happens sometimes, that kind of thing. Which, that's weird, but that's just one aspect. People talk about stuff like that. Talk about the street theater. About people going to the store or something, and there's people having a conversation about something you said in private or something that you were thinking in private, and just walk into a fucking store or something, and people are having a conversation about it. They know what, like, they could read your fucking mind, or they're listening to you, or listening to your thoughts or something kind of shit. And there's the synchronicities, things like you could turn on the television, turn on the radio, and the fucking song is talking about something that you were just thinking about, or you just experienced, Well, I mean, just as an example, like, maybe say you get stuck in traffic behind a train, and then some song about trains starts playing on the radio at that very moment, something like, something like that. And you turn it off, try to turn on a podcast or something, and the guy running the podcast starts talking about fucking trains or something, Like, that's what I'm talking about, These are just like basic examples. It varies in degree and intensity. Sometimes I get an attitude from people that seems like I'm hated. Where, like, people will be confrontational, trying to intimidate me, shouting, giving me dirty, mean mugging me, giving me bad, dirty looks, and mobbing me and shit. Mobbing happens all the fucking time. Like, I'll show up at a store or a restaurant or something, there's like nobody there. Or go to a park and there's like nobody there. And then all of a sudden 100 fucking cars show up and hundreds of people jump out and they're just surrounding me. Just having themselves a good old time fucking with me, But it's like on a grand scale. You remember in the Truman Show, where Truman's sitting in his car and he gets his fake wife or whatever in there, and he's like pointing out, and he's like, okay, a silver Mazda is gonna drive past, followed by a red pickup truck, and a guy on a bike, and a guy walking their dog. And she's like, what are you talking about, Truman? He's like, watch, right? And then exactly in that order they come, He goes out and he says, oh, let's go to Fiji, and he drives off, and there's like a traffic jam blocking him. Then he drives around in circles and says he's going to go somewhere else or he's just going to go home, and then he takes off down the same road. Look, same road, no traffic. Yeah, exactly. Like shit like that goes on. Like I could give you an example this is from, I guess, say 5 years ago, but I've had this sort of stuff happen, more recently, but I'll just give you an example because it became very real to me at this time. Uh, I'd noticed this sort of shit before, but this was like another level. I don't know if it was 5, 6 years. God, how long ago was it? Maybe it was just 2019 or something. I think. Something like that. I'm not really sure what year it was, but my sister and her, perp boyfriend, basically like straight up demon possessed dude, were over, and I took off in my pickup truck to go get a beer. I don't remember what time it was. 8, 9 o'clock, something, I don't know. And I take off driving to town. And I don't tell anyone where I'm going, and I take a different route than I would normally take. I'm not thinking out loud about where I'm going. And I show up at the Safeway, and there's almost nobody there. And I start hearing the people. I start hearing people at the gas pumps like yelling at each other and yelling through a radio. People are all excited. He's here! He's here! He's here! I don't know what the fuck this is about, but every time I walk into like Safeway, this message comes over the fucking intercom system. Pretty soon after I show up there, and it's weird. I don't know what exactly it means, but it goes, hero, hero, hero. Like, I just started noticing this like a number of years back and started doing that kind of after that day. I showed up there, I got gas, and then I went up and walked inside the store to get some food and I guess probably buy some beer. And everyone seemed to be in a hurry and kind of like unkempt or something in there, like they weren't ready for me. Like I don't know, I got this sense that it was like I was walking into a like behind the scenes stage or something, and that like where they had been rehearsing or I don't know, they like people were acting weird. They were acting weird, and they all had their attention on me, and it seemed like they weren't ready, like they were trying to get ready to put on a show in a hurry, kind of thing. That's how I would describe it. Like they were all just acting, but they were like unprepared for me to be there or something like that. And they had to act like it was just another normal day and they're working at the grocery store or whatever, but they weren't ready to act that way, That's one sort of thing that'll happen sometimes, is I'll find myself in situations where people don't seem to know what the fuck they're doing at all, How to describe this, but like, I don't know, like I went to a college counselor one time trying to get into school and figure out, trying to figure out, like, how do I actually get the loan money? How do I use it, to pay for college? How am I supposed to use it to enroll in college if I don't get it until after I'm enrolled, and, so on and so forth, and what classes to sign up for, And I'm like, I get in there, and this person doesn't seem to have a clue what they're doing. They don't seem to know anything. Like, totally out of touch, totally like they shouldn't even be there, And I've noticed this in other areas too, like where I show up and, well, I get to, like, I feel like in many instances I'm surrounded by people who are pretending to be something that they're not, basically. Like they're just acting a certain way. And they're completely different, really. And sometimes, like, the mask slips and you start to see, like, what they're really like, who they really are. But most of the time it's like they're putting on a show. They're just pretending. I don't know if you can imagine how unsettling that would be. Just feel like you're dealing with, like, I don't know, like heartless, soulless, empty people that just really don't care about anything, but they're just like playing a role. Sometimes it almost seems like they're enjoying themselves. They're enjoying screwing with my head and messing with me, kind of thing. Sometimes I sense like a hatred, but that's not all the time. Other times it seems like they like me, kind of, but like they're still gonna screw with me, like it's their job or something to screw with me. The sense that you get. And like I mean, it gets old. It gets real old being followed everywhere you go. It's kind of fucking spooky, honestly. It is. What's so damn interesting or so whatever about me that would make people want to follow me around everywhere I go and screw with me, Like, for one thing, how do they have access to so many resources? And what the hell's so important about me? Why do they just leave me the fuck alone? Well, it seems to me that they don't leave me the fuck alone because anytime they start to on days when they just leave me the fuck alone, things are going good for me. All days when they leave me the fuck alone, it seems like I have, like, help or something and things are going well. And on days when they're not leaving me the fuck alone, everything goes to shit. I can't get ahead no matter what I do. And I get really super stressed out and end up fucking falling apart and shit, right? Sometimes I can hold it together for a while, but kind of put on a brave face and just push through, but it gets to be so much, so overwhelming. God damn it. I can't really take this shit, you know? It's just like, fuck. People. I don't know, man. I kind of don't know what to say here. It's just kind of weird shit that goes on. It's just, I mean, some of the shit's just straight up supernatural and impossible level shit, like, you know, or damn near, you know. Some of the stuff that I see, some of the stuff that happens, yeah. Well, an example of that would be, you know, I show up at a store and it's got a new paint job and the parking lot's been resurfaced, all new lines and everything painted, when before it was just, you know, dirty old parking lot. Then you go show up at the same place a week later and it's just like it used to be. Like the new paint job and everything never happened. Okay, I'll list another thing that's like supernatural or something. It's seemingly impossible, but I get the sense that sometimes I'm dealing with like the same people, but it's like they're shapeshifters or something. As crazy as that fucking sounds. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but I mean, I've seen people shapeshift. I don't know if it was just something I was seeing or like I've seen. I think one example would be there was this couple that were about my age, like probably close to 40 or whatever, or at least, you know, 30, mid 30s or something. And they managed the motel that I was staying at one point, right? And then at some point they were going to, I don't know, they were fixing up a room, getting rid of the old furniture, getting new furniture in there, repainting, you know, all that kind of shit, right? But they look like freaking teenagers. They look like they had reversed age by like 20 fucking years or something. They look like they're teenagers that day. But it was them. It was the same people. I've seen them shift to looking younger like a couple of times. First, I didn't realize who they were until they started talking, and I was like, oh shit, right? That's not the only ones I've seen, though. Especially the age shifting shit, where you'll see, you know, like somebody in their 50s, and then later on you see what looks like the same person, but they look like they're 15 or 16 or something, you know? Like, what the... and they seem to know you, and they say it's like, you know, it's like, what the fuck? there's a bunch of aspects to this place that are very strange. Like I normally don't get into too much of the supernatural shit. That's just one example of the kind of supernatural shit. It seems like there's some kind of non-humans that are here with us, disguised as humans, is what it seems like. And the people, so many of them seem almost like it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something, or like a Borg collective or something. Like if the Borg collective didn't seem so obviously robotic and they were able to blend in or something. It's almost like that, kind of. Like they're all communicating, they all share knowledge with each other. They're all like working together like some kind of team. Like in an organized fashion, it seems. If one of them knows something, then all of them do, kind of thing. That's what it seems like. That's just... It's how it seems, based on, you know. And depending on what they decide to do to me on any given day, what kind of shit they try to pull, it seems to be coordinated. And it's the same sort of shit, basically. A whole variety of things, but it's usually... Some of it's kind of linked. Very personal attack kind of thing. Just a way of screwing with me. Sometimes it's like they count coup and shit. You know what counting coup is? It's like in Native Americans or whatever, where they would charge at some enemy and touch them with a stick or a spear or something, or touch them with the barrel of their rifle or something like that, and right off, you know, as like a show of courage or some kind of shit like that. I get people fucking like this sort of shit's happened a number of times. Just it doesn't happen as often, the counting coup shit, but it happens sometimes where it's like they're trying to scare me. You know, sneaking up behind me and shit like that. Like a threat sort of thing. Like, I don't know, this... I'll give you an example from like I could use a more recent example, but I'll give you one from like say a year ago or a little over a year ago. Year and a half ago. I was at the motel. I was tired because I hadn't been sleeping that well. Some guy kept pulling his motorcycle literally right out front of my door and revving his motorcycle out front of my fucking room in the middle of the night. And there were other people like mobbing outside out front fucking talking shit. Like this is the kind of shit, yeah. So anyway, I go out. It was daytime. I go out. I gather up my laundry in a bag, and I'm going to put the laundry in the back because I was going to go do laundry. So I needed to go to the laundromat. And this guy from upstairs got a big freaking like Bowie knife tucked in his pants. He takes off running from upstairs, runs down the stairs as fast as he can, runs past me, behind my back. I see he's got a big fucking knife tucked in his pants. That was like him, his way of saying, you know, look how I could have ran up and stabbed you in the back of the neck or something, or, you know, right? That kind of thing. And you'll see that kind of shit happen. I see that kind of shit happen sometimes where I get that fucking type of thing where people are like creeping up behind me. I'll park on the side of the road somewhere trying to wait for a dash, and I've got half a dozen or more people in a row fucking just walking right up behind me from the side of my car. Shit like that. Getting like overly close and and sometimes you get people just straight up fucking with you, you know. Somebody just like rolling up on you, fucking revving their engine, blaring some fucking death metal music or something, glaring at you, yelling shit at you out the fucking window or something, right? That sort of shit happens sometimes, but it usually doesn't get to that level. It's like it's more subtle, usually. But it's like it is. It's like a slightly subtle, but not very subtle, constant, constantly being mobbed, surrounded, um, kind of just people just fucking with my head en masse. All kinds of weird shit happening around me. Some of which is like supernatural and doesn't make any sense. Hmm. Hmm. God. Damn it. Uh, yeah, I mean, I can list like I've had more intense experiences sometimes where like it's pretty steady where there's just some crazy shit going on of some sort on one level or another. Almost all the time, I get some days where it's very minimal, almost almost not at all on some days, and on those days things go okay in my life. In those days, I go out to dash and I actually make decent money and run into some nice people and things like that. But most of the time, I'm just getting fucking screwed with all day long everywhere I go. It gets really damn stressful because it's like there's nothing you can do about it, you know? I will say this, since I mentioned shapeshifters and stuff. I have thought about the possibility that maybe at the time when I saw this stuff, I mean, I was pretty drunk. Maybe I hallucinated it. But I've seen this sort of thing a number of times. Shapeshifters. It seemed pretty fucking real. You ever meet the black-eyed people? No pupil, their eyes just black. If I could dealt with those. You ever seen the ones with the slit pupils? Their eyeball, their eye chain like shifts, and you see this fucking like slit pupil like a sliver moon or something. I feel like what I've been dealing with, like a lot of them are like energy vampires or something, kind of like they're fucking with me to get me to freak out, so that when I freak out, somehow they're feeding off of my energy. End up feeling I get drunk and freaked out, and I end up feeling really drained afterwards a lot of the time. Like the life was just sucked out of me near to the point of death or something. I have to make myself get up and go do things, even though I feel like I'm dying. Sometimes there are these weird tones. People talk about the electronic harassment sort of shit, but I don't know if that's what it is. But there's something that's like a vibration or something that seems like it shakes me. I can feel some sort of shaking vibration on me, and sometimes it makes me feel sick. Sometimes it just feels like I'm being burned. Sometimes it feels like it causes a vast shift in my mood or something. I've had stuff like the V2K shit. Like that's what the technology. One of the technologies is called V2K, voice to skull. I don't know if that. I I don't know, man. I'm someone who in the past had some like psychic abilities and stuff. So sometimes I think it's just like these things have psychic abilities that are pretty powerful or something. They're able to project thoughts and images and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the drinking, for instance, sometimes it feels like there's something like there's some force. This craving to fucking go for alcohol goes against everything I believe, against everything I think and feel. There's just something just takes me over, and it's like I can't resist. I can't resist going and getting alcohol, even though I'm every thought in my mind, and I'm even verbalizing and saying like I don't want nothing to do with that fucking poison. Get that shit away from me. No, no, no. I'm practically screaming in my mind, no, I don't want to fucking drink that crap. No. no, don't do it, no. You know? It's like something just took over the fucking steering wheel of my body and fucking. Like I couldn't stop, you know? And whatever that thing is, I hate it. I hate its guts. You know? But it feels like I'm enslaved to it sometimes. Like it just takes over my fucking body. And it's walking me to the store to buy beer or whatever. And I'm trying with every ounce of strength that I have to turn the fuck around. Like yesterday when I went to go get beer in the morning, I must have paced around back and forth at the park for like 20 or 30 minutes talking to myself, you know, and I sat around out front before that. I kept stopping and trying to turn around to not go fucking buy alcohol. But I ended up walking in there and buying alcohol anyways. It was like whatever this fucking thing was that's trying to make me drink was stronger than I was. All my willpower, my conscious thought and rational mind felt incapable of stopping. And I could pray to God about it, beg God to take it away, and nothing happens. What was that passage in the Bible? And I act not the way I would, you know, I don't know, there's some Bible passage about being enslaved to sin, basically. Warring against all the members of my body. Like, that's really what it feels like sometimes when it comes to alcohol and stuff. So strange. It's just so much weird shit goes on. Like I said, not all of it seems bad. Some of it almost seems good or something. But it's a lot more bad than good, you know. Some of the more obvious, intense experiences I've had. This one is, some of these are probably 10 years ago or longer. Longer, I think. One example,